The night was cold, the kind that made the city streets of New York feel like an unwelcoming abyss. Isabella Romano wrapped her coat tightly around her, her heels clicking softly against the pavement. She had spent the last few months hiding, trying to forget the man who had stolen her heart, and almost her life. Dante Moretti, the infamous Mafia King, was both feared and revered, ruthless in business and lethal in vengeance. He ruled the underworld with an iron fist. But when it came to Isabella, his cold heart had found warmth in her presence. It was a dangerous love, one forbidden by the bloodshed that followed his name. She had walked away, thinking she could escape his grasp. But tonight fate had other plans. It had all begun on a rainy night, inside an exclusive underground club owned by the Moretti family. Isabella, a journalist with an insatiable curiosity, had been investigating a lead on organized crime. She had never expected to find herself face to face with the man who ruled the city's shadows. Dante had been standing in the VIP section, an aura of danger and power surrounding him. Their eyes met across the room, and for a moment time seemed to freeze. There was something mesmerizing about him. His dark, calculating gaze, the way he carried himself with effortless dominance. She hadn't realized the risk she was taking until one of his men caught her snooping around. Before she knew it, she was being dragged into a private room, the door locking behind her. When she looked up, he was there, leaning against the desk, studying her like a puzzle he wanted to solve. "You're either very brave or very foolish," he had said, his voice a smooth threat. "Tell me, Bella, which one is it?" Instead of fear, intrigue had sparked within her. "That depends on what you do next." Something in her defiance had fascinated him. Instead of silencing her, he had let her go, with a warning. But fate had already set its course. They kept running into each other, each meeting laced with tension and an unspoken attraction neither of them could deny. Dante was dangerous, but he was also intoxicating. Despite knowing who he was, Isabella found herself drawn to him. He showed her a side of himself the world never saw, one that was fiercely protective, deeply loyal, and unexpectedly tender. Their love had been a storm, passionate and all-consuming. Late-night conversations in his penthouse, stolen kisses in the shadows, and whispered promises neither of them was sure they could keep. But love in Dante's world came at a price. It had started with a warning, a dead rose left on her doorstep, a silent message from Dante's enemies. He had tried to keep her safe, keeping her under constant protection, but the threats escalated. One night, she witnessed something she was never meant to see. Dante, covered in blood, standing over the body of a man who had dared to betray him. The horror of it had shattered something inside her. She had always known he was dangerous, but seeing it with her own eyes made it real. That night, she made the hardest decision of her life. Ran. Dante searched for her, but she had disappeared, leaving only a single note behind. "I love you, but I can't live in your world." But could she ever truly escape him? A sleek black car pulled up beside her, the tinted window rolling down to reveal a familiar face. Niccolo, Dante's right-hand man. His expression was unreadable, but his voice sent a shiver down her spine. "Miss Romano, the boss requests your presence. Now." Her breath hitched. She knew refusing was not an option. The moment she slid into the car, she realized she was heading back into the dark world she had tried so desperately to leave. The Moretti estate was just as she remembered, an extravagant mansion shrouded in mystery. As she was led through the dimly lit halls, her heart pounded against her ribs. The moment the double doors swung open, she saw him. Dante sat behind an ornate desk, his piercing blue eyes locked onto her as if she had never left. He was as devastatingly handsome as she remembered. His sharp jawline, the dark ink peeking from beneath his crisp white shirt, and the power that radiated from him. "You look well, Bella," he said, his voice a dangerous caress. She swallowed, steeling herself. "Why am I here, Dante?" He leaned back in his chair, studying her. "Did you really think you could run from me? That I would let you go so easily?" A chill ran down her spine. You don't own me. His lips curled into a smirk. That's where you're wrong. You've always been mine. Before she could protest, a loud crash echoed from outside. The doors burst open and men with guns stormed in. Chaos erupted as gunfire shattered the silence. Isabella ducked as Dante pulled her behind him, his own gun already drawn. Stay close, he ordered, his voice sharp. The attack was brutal. Dante's men fought fiercely, but it was Isabella who saw the opening. She grabbed a fallen gun and fired at the last remaining enemy, saving Dante's life. When the dust settled, they were both breathing heavily, surrounded by the carnage of the underworld. Dante turned to her, his gaze filled with something new, fear. Not for himself, but for her. You shouldn't have had to do that, he whispered. Tears welled in her eyes. This is exactly why I left. Dante, I love you, but I can't live in this world of blood and violence. You have to choose me or the Mafia. Silence stretched between them. For the first time in his life, Dante was faced with an impossible choice. Power had been his entire existence. But Isabella, she was his heat. After days of contemplation, Dante made his decision. He called a meeting with his most trusted men and announced that he was stepping down. He handed his empire over to a young, ambitious successor, his protégé Marco, a boy he had raised in the underworld. The moment he walked away from the Mafia, he took Isabella's hand, and they disappeared into the night. They moved to a quiet coastal town, far from the blood-stained streets of New York. There, for the first time in years, Dante was just a man. Not a king, not a killer, just a man in love. As they sat on the porch of their seaside home, Isabella leaned into him, feeling the steady beat of his heart. Do you regret it? She asked softly. He kissed her baby bump, his arms around her. Not for a single second. Because for Dante Moretti, true power was not in ruling the underworld, but in holding the woman he loved. And for Isabella, love had finally conquered fear. Then,